following is a presentation of Flow Sports.
Good afternoon and welcome inside the Albuquerque Convention Center. The energy is building, the track is fast, and today we'll witness some top collegiate athletes battling it out in the sprint and distance races. My name is Lincoln Shrike, and we are set for competition here at the 2026 New Mexico Team Open, live on FloTrack and presented by Saucony. Student athletes from across the country will come together to compete, push limits as we continue our indoor track series. Over the course of today's meet, we'll see some of the nation's top collegiate talent chasing personal bests, conference marks, and early season momentum on one of the fastest indoor tracks in the Southwest. So settle in. We'll be right back with our first set of races, the men's unseated 200 meters, here at the New Mexico Team Open, live on FloTrack and presented by Saucony. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Hello and welcome inside the Albuquerque Convention Center. We are about set to go here for the 2026 New Mexico Team Open, live on FloTrack, presented by Saucony. Up first on the track, we have heats of the men's unseated 200-meter dash. Heat 1, you can see already on the track. Let's introduce you to our field. In lane 2, we'll have Julian Gonzalez Morales of UACJ. In lane 3, we'll have Kian Alton of Pepperdine. In lane 4, Jaden Dasher, Long Beach State. Lane 5, Valen Wittenberg of New Mexico. And in lane 6, Draylonde Johnson, Long Beach State. So that's your field. Heat 1 of 17 heats of this men's unseated 200-meter dash. We have Morales, Alton, Dasher, Wittenberg, and Johnson, your 5 athletes in Heat 1 from inside to outside, lanes 2 through 6. Away we go in heat number 1 of the men's unseated 200 meters. Looks like that's Dasher running well in lane 3. We look at his teammate Johnson on the outside. Now here comes Wittenberg. Johnson, though, going to maintain his advantage and take heat 1. That was Draylonde Johnson from Long Beach State, a 21:55 performance from him to take heat number 1 in the men's unseated 200-meter dash. New Mexico's own Wittenberg takes second, 21:79. with Dasher of Long Beach State, 22-12 for third place. Heat number 2 quickly up on the track. In heat number 2, we'll have Farrell Washington of Trinidad State in lane 2. Marsal Adley of Wayland Baptist is in 3. Isaac Shires of Azusa Pacific in 4. William Opare, Angelo State in 5. And Gabriel Ajebu of Stanford will run in lane 6. So starter calls them to their blocks, and we'll get set to get underway for heat number 2. 21:55, the top mark. We will have Washington, Adley, Shires, Opare, and Ajebu, your 5 men in heat number 2. Off we go. Heat number 2. Isaac Shires moving up the stagger on Opare, but Opare is going to blast through and go past and win this going away in heat number 2. That's William Opare of Angelo State, who's now, well, no, he's fine. He's down on the track momentarily. 20.98, sub-21 performance for Opare to win heat number 2. Ajegbu of Stanford settles for second there, 21.58, with Shires in third position from Azusa Pacific. So first sub-21 performance there coming from William Opare of Angelo State. Getting lined up for heat number 3. We hope everyone across the country is staying warmer this week than we were, I guess, about this time last week, as the weather hopefully has warmed up and improved for many of you. I know we just had that polar vortex, and it's made indoor track all the more appealing, and we thank you for joining us for another exciting weekend of track and field here at the Albuquerque Convention Center. So 20.98 was the winning time for William Opare in heat number 2. That's the fastest we've seen thus far. Let's introduce you to heat number 3. In heat 3, in lane 2, we'll have Christian Sains of Lubbock Christian. In 3, Michael Cruzado of UC Colorado Springs. Eric Collins of Eastern New Mexico is in 4. Lamont Reed of Angelo State is in 5. And Taylor Briggs of Angelo State is out in 6. So plenty of 200-meter races coming your way. 17 heat of the men's unseeded sections and 18 coming your way after this of the women's. And not only that, we'll have invitational sections later on this evening of the 200 meters. So If you like the one-lap event in indoor track, then you have plenty of opportunities to watch this afternoon and later on this evening in the 200 meters. Heat 3 now getting down into the blocks. We have Sainz, Cruzado, Collins, Reed, and Briggs. Yeah, looked like a little antsiness in the blocks. So I wondered if they would call them back, and they do. The starters will confer and chat this over before we determine how we're going to proceed with heat number 3. So this conversation, we saw it a few times last weekend when we were here for the Martin Luther King Jr. Collegiate Invitational. And so we'll await the starter's verdict here. The color of his card here will determine the fate of an athlete. So it's going to be yellow to indicate a warning for lane 2. That's Christian Sainz. He gets the details there, and we'll get re-racked to start heat number 3 once again in just a moment. They will disqualify the athletes for a legitimate false start here. We saw that last weekend, and if you follow track and field at all, you know you get usually one shot there. Not entirely sure what the issue was for this one. Kind of looked like everybody didn't get set before the gun went off, so that may be what the warning was all about. But if you leave your blocks early, you will be disqualified in these events. So something to watch for, and hopefully we don't have to cross that bridge. But it is a scenario that could play out this weekend. Once again, heat 3, Christian Sainz is in 2, Michael Cruzado in 3, Eric Collins in 4, Lamont Reed in 5, and Taylor Briggs is in 6. Clean start this time. And it's a good one from Lamont Reed in lane 5, trying to come up on the shoulder of his teammate, Taylor Briggs. And now we've got athletes coming from the inside trying to challenge Reed. Now Briggs is going to rally and take his teammate to the line. It's going to be Taylor Briggs winning heat number 3 with a late rally to beat out his teammate. 21.50 for Briggs out of lane 6 as his Angelo State teammate Lamont Reed goes second place, 21.54. Christian Sainz settles for third, 22.08. That's heat 3 of the men's 200. So they'll move these heats along rather quickly, and in between that, the athletes have to set the blocks, as you see, to their preference, which takes some measurements. Sometimes you'll see a measuring tape. Oftentimes you'll see the imperfect science of just measuring feet back from the start line. So it is always amazing to me how quickly they run these events when everybody wants to reset their blocks in between, or based on where their predecessor was on the start line. But they will move these races through quickly regardless. So you have to move quickly with resetting the blocks when you're ready to run your race. All right, heat 4. And in this race, we'll have in lane 2, Ronzel Woods of Prairie View. Lane 3, we'll have Ivan Cornelius representing Godspeed. In lane 4, Jace Lynch of West Texas A&M. Lane 5, Julian Dawkins of Prairie View. And in lane 6, Dwayne Fleming from Oklahoma Baptist. And a refresher, or perhaps a acknowledgement for the first time if you're new to watching track at the elevation we're at, which is just south of 5,000 feet, the athletes do get a little boost in the sprint events from the thin air here in Albuquerque. So for qualifying purposes for the NCAA or the NAIA divisions, you will see your time added on a few hundredths of a second in the 200 events and in the 60 events, as well as the 400 a little bit as well, just based on the boost you get from being up at this 5,000 feet, right about 4,950. The altitude, you get a little boost from that. So just something to watch out for if you ever are checking in on the TFER's website to see for NCAA qualifying purposes, and you watch a performance and you're saying, wait a second, they ran this time. Why does it say that? It's because the time has been adjusted based on the assistance you get from being at this elevation above sea level. And the opposite's true in the distance races. You get time subtracted based on running here. It's important information to know as a track and field fan, even if you don't need that information to appreciate who wins and loses. Set to go in Heat 4 of the men's unseeded 200. Everyone chasing 20.98, our fastest time through 3 heats. Fleming from Oklahoma Baptist off to a good start here out in lane 6. But here comes Julian Dawkins and the rest of the field. Fleming, though, appears to be away as he charges towards the finish line in Heat 4. Pretty comfortable victory for Dwayne Fleming from Oklahoma Baptist, as he will take heat number 4. The comfortable margin of victory there, 21:06 for the Oklahoma Baptist sprinter, 21:93 for Dawkins from Prairie View in 3rd. So we will get set for Heat 5 when we come back. We're going to step aside for a brief moment. We'll be right back with more from the 2026 New Mexico Team Open.
Let's go, baby. Just the best one. You know what time it is?
Welcome back inside the Albuquerque Convention Center. My name is Lincoln Shrike, here with you for the 2026 New Mexico Team Open. If you're just joining us, we've had 4 heats of the men's unseeded 200 meters. And on the track is Heat 5. In Heat 5, in lane 2, we'll have Cutter Puchin of Lubbock Christian in lane 2. In lane 3, DeAndre Harris of Wayland Baptist. Cooper Burgess of Eastern New Mexico will run in 4. Sebastian Lopez of Long Beach State in lane 5. And Shamir Blake of Western Texas College in lane 6. Off we go, heat number 5. The men's unseeded 200 meters. Sebastian Lopez in lane 5, challenging and making up the stagger on Blake to his outside. He'll have the lead heading into our final stretch. Lopez trying to hold off Blake towards the line, and he'll do so to win heat number 5. Sebastian Lopez taking heat number 5, 21:39 in the men's unseeded 200. Shamir Blake second, 21:59. With Cooper Burgess of Eastern New Mexico third, 22:02. So just had one sub 21 second mark to lead all of our performances thus far, and that was William Apare of Angelo State in heat 2. So our field chasing that mark as we get into our 6th heat of 17 on the track next. And here's your field. We have Wachemo Mindlin Leitner of Fort Lewis running in 2. Emmanuel Marquez, West Texas A&M in 3. Gage Spencer, Oklahoma Baptist in 4. Francis Patampaton of Angelo State in lane 5. And Siobhan DePass, Western Texas College in 6. Something about this wonderful facility being in this area as you see these athletes, and I recognize so many names from last week. This becomes like a home track of sorts for so many athletes throughout the indoor season in the winter, and it makes a routine throughout the season for so many athletes as they come back here, and it builds a sort of momentum for the track season where you have to prepare for a peak in March and a peak in May. It's difficult to do, but to have this track accessible for some of these athletes that are close by regionally, it's a nice thing to have. So heat 6. We have in 2 Mindlin Leitner, in 3 Marquez, in 4 Spencer, in 5 Patampaton, and in lane 6 DePass. Gage Spencer of Oklahoma Baptist there in the green in the center of your screen, working to make up the stagger. 2 athletes on the outside. He'll have the lead into the straightaway. Spencer trying to hold off 2 to his outside, and he will. That's Gage Spencer, Oklahoma Baptist, taking heat number 6 in the men's 200. 21:59 for Spencer to hold off Francis Patampaton of Angelo State, 21:75. And Siobhan DePass of Western Texas in 3rd, 21:81. It's nice to see an athlete, not just from one of the exterior lanes, battling for a heat win. It seems like we've seen early on so many athletes in 5 and 6 duking it out, and that was the story last week as well here in Albuquerque. So it was Gage Spencer bucking that trend in heat 6. Now 5 more athletes will get in position for heat number 7. In heat 7, we'll have Johnny Fisher of Northern Colorado in 2, Zamari Burrell of UC Colorado Springs in 3, Jonathan Bright, Oklahoma Baptist in 4, Nicolo Solares, Eastern New Mexico in 5, and Zachary Galmont of Fort Lewis running in lane 6. Three fastest times thus far. We have William Apare, 2098 from Angelo State. Dwayne Fleming, Oklahoma Baptist, 2106. And Taylor Briggs of Angelo State, 21.50. Fisher, Burrell, Bright, Solaris, and Galmont, your 5 athletes in heat number 7. Away we go, heat 7. Solaris running well in 5. Coming up on the shoulder of Zachary Galmont of Fort Lewis. Solaris with a slight edge. And it's going to be Nicolo Solaris winning heat 7 out of lane 5. So Solaris takes that one. We're going to step aside before we come back for heat number 8. We'll be right back from the Albuquerque Convention Center. Thanks.
Heats 9 through 11 of the men's 200 meter unseated. Please report to the track at this time.
Welcome back to FloTrack's coverage of the 2026 New Mexico Team Open, presented by Saucony. We're midway through our unseeded heats of the men's 200. Getting you set for heat number 8 next. In heat 8, we have Antonio Wadsworth of Colorado Mesa in 3, Justin Fong unattached in 4, Caden Peavy, Oklahoma Baptist in 5, and Amaris Mora of Colorado Mesa is in lane 6. The first 7 heats, we had 5 athletes. In these next few, we will only have 4. So slightly more intimate field here. Heat 8 of the men's 200. Peavy trying to catch up to Amaris Mora, and he will do that as we approach the straightaway. Caden Peavy with the lead out of Oklahoma Baptist, and he'll take that all the way to the finish line. Caden Peavy wins heat 8. 21.73 for Peavy. Mora settles for second, 22.02, with Wadsworth in third, 22.41. Heat 8 in the books. Getting a look at Kahari Wilbon, who will run in heat number 9 from the home team, the New Mexico Lobos. Heat 9 will feature Jordan Frazier of Colorado Mesa in lane 3, Ravano Plummer of UC Colorado Springs in 4, Leonard Hortzman of West Texas A&M in 5, and the aforementioned Kahari Wilbon from New Mexico in lane 6. Wilbon ran last weekend. Our athlete in lane 6, he ran last weekend at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Collegiate Invitational. Ran 21.49, so an athlete to watch here as he tries to improve on his mark from a week ago. Heat 9 is in the blocks, and it looks like we have no Leonard Hortzman, so just 3 athletes running in Heat 9. Wilbon comfortably out front as Plummer now from lane 4 comes to challenge But Wilbon still holding the edge, and he'll take it to the finish line. Kahari Wilbon of New Mexico goes wire to wire to win heat number 9, the men's 200. 21:50 the time, so just 1/100th of a second off the mark he posted last week. Plummer settles for second out of UC Colorado Springs, and there goes heat number 9. Heat 10 will feature Dane Duggar of West Texas A&M, Christopher Cheatham of Northern Colorado, Ruel Campbell of Lubbock Christian, and Jaden McGregor, Eastern New Mexico. Your athletes lanes 3 through 6. Everybody's still chasing the 2098, set in Heat 2 by William Apare. We have 8 more sections of this men's 200, so plenty of opportunities to best that mark. Just haven't seen too many performances that have been close to it. No one else under 21 seconds. Next closest 21:06, and after that 21:50. So Pare with the lead in the clubhouse and has posted a solid mark for the rest of these athletes to chase in this unseeded 200. Lane 3, Dane Duggar. Lane 4, Christopher Cheatham. Lane 5, Ruel Campbell. And lane 6, Jaden McGregor. Real nice start from Campbell there. Or excuse me, that was Cheatham of New Mexico, but Northern Colorado. But he's got work to do here as Campbell has the advantage out of lane 5. That's Ruel Campbell. Comfortable victory for Campbell out of Lubbock Christian. 21:54, Ruel Campbell. Lubbock Christian will take a little breather on the track after that victory. 22:02 for Cheatham from Northern Colorado in second. Campbell seems to be a little hobbled after that victory. Hopefully he is okay. There you see Christian Hodges getting set to go in lane 3 for Heat 11. It's Hodges in 3 out of Prairie View. Vance Landa of West Texas A&M in 4. Brendan Fong unattached in 5. Kobe Brown, Oklahoma Baptist, is in lane 6. If you're just joining us, we are just over halfway through this first event on the track, first track event of the weekend here at the 2026 New Mexico Team Open. Day 1 coverage here in Albuquerque, live on FloTrack. Coverage today presented by Saucony. Hodges, Landa, Fong, and Brown, your 4 athletes from inside to outside in Heat 11.
Set.
Brendan Fong running well. Coming up on the shoulder of Kobe Brown. Fong has the lead. But here comes Kobe Brown to challenge. I think he's going to run out of room. He does. Brendan Fong, unattached, wins heat 11. 21-7-0 to Brown's 21-84. The unattached athlete takes heat 11. Got a late push there from Oklahoma Baptist Kobe Brown, but it was a little too late. Fong got the better start and held on to win heat 11, 21.70.
Heats 15 through 17 of the men's 200 meters.
Jonas, stay on your acceleration, okay? You're 0 to 60.
We discussed earlier, athletes going with the imperfect science to set their blocks to their preferences with just 1 foot after the other to measure distance back from their start line. Got to get it done quickly as the starters are moving these races through awfully fast. Heat 12 on the track. We have Michael Rucker from Prairie View in lane 3. Jonas Gran of East Texas A&M in 4. Devin Miller of Prairie View is in 5. And Zachary Ryan from Stanford, lane 6. So heat 12, athletes getting settled into their blocks. Rucker, Gran, Miller, and Ryan. Devin Miller in lane 5 off to a good start. Working hard to pass Zachary Ryan, but Ryan won't let him do it. Stanford, Zachary Ryan takes the victory, holds on to his advantage in lane 6, and wins heat number 12, 21-33. As Devin Miller takes second, 21-88. Jonas Gran settles for third. So we'll step aside for a short break. We'll be right back with you for more action at the 2026 New Mexico Team Open.
Heats 15 through 17 on the men's 200-meter unseated. Please report to the track.
Welcome back to Albuquerque, inside the Albuquerque Convention Center. You're watching live coverage of the 2026 New Mexico Team Open on FloTrack. Today's coverage presented by Saucony. We are set to go for Heat 13 of the men's unseated 200 meters. This heat will feature Jay Taylor running in lane 3, unattached. Joshua Gaydon, Prairie View in lane 4. Kingsley Ayebade, East Texas A&M in 5. And Kyler Joe, lane 6 from Eastern New Mexico. 20:98, the time everyone is chasing in this unseeded portion of our 200-meter competition. That time was run in heat number 2 by William Apare of Angelo State. Off we go, heat 13, the men's 200. Here comes Gaden of Prairie View out of lane 4. He'll have the lead, but here comes Kyler Joe. A nice race here in heat 13. Kyler Joe rallies to take the victory out of lane 6 in heat 13. 21:80 for the athlete from eastern New Mexico. Gaden takes second, 21:91. Probably one of the more competitive races we've seen was that heat 13. We'll hope for more of the same coming up in these next 4 sections. First up, heat 14, we have Walter Williams of Prairie View. He's in lane 3. Max Franklin in 4 from Azusa Pacific. In 5, Marique Cummings, Colorado Mesa. In 6, Chase Hansen of Azusa Pacific. Williams, Franklin, Cummings, and Hansen. And these unseeded sections, it's all just straight finals. We're not running preliminaries or anything here. We will have some premier sections coming your way later on this evening with the men's invitational 200 slated to go at 7:20 p.m. So stay tuned for that. Williams, Franklin, Cummings, and Hansen, your field, heat 14 of the men's 200. Marique Cummings running well in lane 5 is going to go past Chase Hansen. Here comes Franklin, though, of Azusa Pacific, and here comes Hansen again. Hansen was waiting to rally, and he goes past and takes heat number 14. Chase Hansen with a nice run out of lane 6 in heat 14. $21.65 for Hansen with his teammate behind in 21.81. So this will be heat 15 next on the track. We'll have Jake Leonard in 3 from Fort Lewis, Joseph Bailey in 4 from Stanford, Jamar Saunders of Western Texas College in 5, and Eric Brooks, Prairie View in 6. Your college sports have a home on Flow College. Watch more than 20,000 college sporting events from 200 schools and 18 different conferences only on Flow College. Head to flowcollege.com today to see everything now. So those are the names in Heat 15. Leonard, Bailey, Saunders, and Brooks. From inside to outside. Gun goes for Heat 15. Saunders running well there in the blue tights of Western Texas College. And he has a comfortable lead heading towards the finish line. That's Jamar Saunders, Western Texas in Heat 15. 21-49 for Saunders. Comfortable victory over Eric Brooks of Prairie View in second place, with Bailey of Stanford in third in 22-23. Saunders, one of our faster times we've seen this afternoon. Still not the 2098 of William Apare, but a good run, 21.49 for Jamar Saunders in Heat 15. Moving right along with Heat 16, we have Aiden Turner in 3, Landon Lee, Lubbock Christian in 4, Chris Moffitt of Lubbock Christian in 5, and Rice Reynolds from Stanford in lane 6. So starter will call them back to the line. See a familiar name in Rice Reynolds running in lane 6. He competed in the 200 and the 400 last weekend at the Martin Luther King Junior Collegiate Invitational. Took home a victory in the unseeded 400 with a 47.67. Ran 21.67 in his 200, so I have to assume he's hoping to best that here in Heat 16. Working on that speed with the one-lapper here in Albuquerque. Turner, Lee, Moffitt, and Reynolds. Your 4 in Heat 16 of the men's 200. Off we go, Heat 16. Moffitt running well out of 5. Wasn't the strongest start, but he's got into gear here as he goes around Reynolds. Reynolds, though, trying to tap into that 400 strength. And here he comes, Reynolds rallying to the line, and it is going to be Rice Reynolds. I can spot a 400 runner from a mile away as he really ran that second half like a 400 runner to take section number 16, 21.54. Rice Reynolds of Stanford to the 21.58 of Moffitt. Really good race in our penultimate unseeded men's 200 meters. Telling you, it's those lanes 5 and 6 over and over again in these 200s. That's where the story will come down to usually. One more unseeded men's race for you here in the 200. In lane 3, we have Diego Renteria unattached. Lane 4, Nevaeh Anderson of Lubbock Christian. Irving Eduardo Loya in 5, UACJ. And his teammate, Eduardo Antonio Gallegos Jimenez, UACJ, will run in lane 6. So we have one more men's unseated 200 before we get started shortly with the women's unseated sections of the 200. Reintroduce you to our field here in Heat 17. We have Diego Renteria in 3, Nevaeh Anderson in 4, Irving Eduardo Loya in 5, and Eduardo Antonio Gallegos Jimenez is in lane 6. The pressure and tension is high as the altitude at 4,900 feet here in Albuquerque. Underway in Heat 17. Anderson running well in 4. Anderson with the lead heading into the second half. And Nevaeh Anderson, wire-to-wire victory, Heat 17. 22:06 for Anderson, with Loya in second, 22:37. Jimenez takes third. And that wraps up our men's unseated 200-meter event. So we're going to step aside and get ready for the women's 200-meter unseated sections. We'll be right back on FloTrack after this. Yeah. All right, welcome back inside the Albuquerque Convention Center. As you see on our track, we are ready to go. And it'll be a restart for Heat 1 of the women's unseated 200 meters. Had a slight starters issue as we got underway, but rest assured all 5 athletes will remain in the field as we get prepared to try again. In this Heat 1 of the women's unseated 200 meters, we have Elizabeth Egwanoke of Wayland Baptist in 2, Annie Trapp of Pepperdine in 3, Ambrosia Francis, Eastern New Mexico in 4, Shige Shepi, Western Texas College in 5, and Mackay McDonald, Prairie View in lane 6. So we had a restart the race here. We got a yellow card for lane 2, so just a warning. We're set to go with our full field as we get underway. Heat number 1 of the women's unseated 200. Pretty even thus far. Sheppy in lane 5 starting to make up the stagger, but McDonald holding strong. And McDonald now goes into a different gear. McKay McDonald from Prairie View takes section 1 of the women's 200. Nice race between 5 and 6, lanes 5 and 6. 23.99 for McDonald from Prairie View to win heat number 1. Sheppy in second, 24.32. So heat 1 with a slight interruption, but no worse for the wear. And we will have a time for the rest of our athletes to chase as heat 2 gets set. $23.99 was the winning time in heat number 1. In heat 2, Olivia Greco of Pepperdine will run in 2. Mackenzie Giles, East Texas A&M in 3. Lane 4 will feature Journey Alexander of Eastern New Mexico. Dariana Hall of Long Beach State in lane 5. Lane 6, Sophia Pineda to wrap up heat number 2, our 5 in heat number 2. In the men's races, it was a lot of lanes 5 and 6 battling it out throughout the heats, really. We'll see if that trend continues. So far, we've had a lane 6 winner. Probably no one cares enough about as much as me for this trend, but it is interesting how it shakes out. That advantage you get starting, although it ultimately sorts it out where everyone runs 200 meters, that little psychological advantage you get by being up in front at the beginning, I think it carries its way to the finish line. Heat 2 underway, women's 200. Hall from Long Beach State running well in 5. That's Dariana Hall. Now Pineda from New Mexico running well in 6. Kind of got challenged early on and then put into it to a different gear to win heat number 2. That's Sophia Pineda of the hometown New Mexico Lobos. 24-22 for Sophia Pineda. 24.93 for Hall in second place, with Giles of East Texas in third, 25.10.
Heats 5 through 8 of the women's 200 meter unseated. Please report to me. Heats 5 through 8 of the women's 200 meter unseated.
So athletes in heat 3 getting set, putting their steps in to measure out their blocks. I haven't seen the measuring tape thus far. It's a less common tactic when sorting out the blocks, but you will eventually see the measuring tape this weekend at some point. I have a feeling, but so many just going with their feet to measure back from that line. I'm just fascinated which one these athletes prefer. As a distance runner by trade, I'm just so unfamiliar with this world. But you will see athletes with the measuring tape, and then you'll see some just going with a slightly more rudimentary 1 foot after the other method. I have a feeling I would have been one of those type of athletes myself. I can't be asked to keep track of a measuring tape. That's just something I would be bound to lose. So I think a lot of these athletes are in a similar position as I would have been. Heat 3 up on the track. We have Letitia Campbell of Wayland Baptist in 2. Cassandra Uribe of West Texas A&M in 3. Soraya Dureska of Stanford is in 4. Joy Egwu of Lubbock Christian is in 5. And Zane Bullock, UC Colorado Springs, is in 6. And a slight bookkeeping update. No Dureska in lane 4. You see that lane empty as we get started heat number 3. So Joy Egwu challenging Bullock on the outside as she goes past. This is Lubbock Christian's Joy Egwu. Taking an advantage into the straightaway, and she will take the victory in heat 3 of the women's 200. 25-10 for Egwu, with Bullock in second, 25-34. Uribe in third, 25-76. So that was the results from heat 3 of the women's 200. We're going to step aside for a moment. We'll be right back with more action from the Albuquerque Convention Center here on FloTrack. Welcome back to FloTrack's coverage of the 2026 New Mexico Team Open. We're in our second event of competition here, the women's unseated 200 meters. And this is heat 4 on the track. In heat 4, we will have in lane 2, Kate Wardlaw, Fort Lewis. In lane 3, Cheyenne McGee of Eastern New Mexico. Scratch that, no lane 3. We will have Gabriela Elizalde of Eastern New Mexico in 4. Aliciana Winston of UNLV in 5. And Jada Boucher of UNLV running in lane 6. Heat 4 underway in the women's 200. Good battle going on between lanes 4, 5, and 6. That's Winston coming up to the shoulder of her teammate Boucher. Aliciana Winston trying to challenge, but Jada Boucher is going to hold her off here as the UNLV Running Rebels battle to the line. 24-44 for Boucher over her teammate Winston. 24-52, 25-54 for Elizalde in third from Eastern New Mexico. So heat 4 goes the way of UNLV. Everybody's still chasing the 23:99 run in heat 1 by Mackay McDonald from Prairie View. 23:99 our top time. There's a look at the field for heat 5. Tyron Aranda of Lubbock Christian will run in 2. Megan Rodriguez, Eastern New Mexico, will run in 3. Lane 4, Riley Midget of Eastern New Mexico. Lane 5 appears to be vacant, so we'll hop over that lane. Lane 6 will feature Eva Gome of New Mexico. Heat 5, Aranda, Rodriguez, Midget, and Gome, your 4 in heat 5. Eva Gome of New Mexico off to a strong start. And with no athlete to her inside, has a sizable advantage. New Mexico's own Eva Gome goes wire to wire in Heat 5 to win comfortably. 24-16 for Gome. Takes a victory by over a second over Eastern New Mexico's Riley Midget. So Eva Gome looks pretty comfortable after that easy victory in Heat 5. Grabs her stuff and heads immediately off the track after a quick day's work in the women's 200 Heat 5. In Heat 6, we'll introduce you to the field. We have LaShavia Barclay, Prairie View in lane 2. Caitlin Webb, UNLV in 3. Amelia Skuraton of Pepperdine in 4. Sandra Apaya, West Texas A&M in 5. And Hannah Rutherford from Stanford in lane 6. So we'll scratch Caitlin Webby from UNLV. No lane 3 in Heat 6. Heat 6 underway in the women's 200. It's Rutherford from Stanford running in lane 6. Going to get a challenge from Sandra Apaya of West Texas A&M. Apaya goes to the lead with, well, I spoke too soon. Rutherford, though, counters the move, and Rutherford puts it into a whole nother gear. That was a strong last 75 meters from Hannah Rutherford of Stanford. 24-36 for Rutherford to win Heat number 6. Looked like that was going to be a lot closer, and maybe even Apaya taking the victory, but Rutherford really strong last portion of that race to win over Sandra Apaya of West Texas A&M. Still, though, one athlete thus far under 24 seconds. That was Makai McDonald in heat number 1, 23:99. So that's the lead in the clubhouse as we get you set for heat number 7. Looks like we'll be absent lane 3 again in this race. So in heat 7, we have Tanya Diaz of Wayland Baptist. Getting some instructions about her blocks here. Lane 4 will have Meredith Brown, Eastern New Mexico. Lane 5, Aaliyah Harrison, Angelo State. And in lane 6, Matea Mangum of Utah.